Hey y'all, this is meteorologist Patrick Fitzgerald. I am recording this video as of 3:15 a.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday, June 18th, although I figured that it was absolutely necessary to come on and talk about the potential for a extremely dangerous flooding event setting up for later today across portions of the Gulf Coast, especially across the I-10 and I-59 corridors through coastal Mississippi and into Mobile, as well as the Pensacola region, where the Weather Prediction Center, as of their latest day one excessive rainfall outlook, has actually outlined a rare level 4 out of 4 high risk of excessive rainfall. This is due to increased confidence in the potential for some extremely significant rainfall totals across the board, where the potential for widespread 5 to 7 inches of rainfall is expected. Locally higher amounts of 8 to 10 inches is likely, and there even is some model guidance, and I will stress this, take this with a grain of salt, but there is some guidance suggesting that there is the potential for totals to even exceed upwards of 15 inches of rainfall, as explicitly mentioned by the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center, as well as some local forecast offices in their latest flood watch, which was just put out. So we'll go over that in just a second. There's also going to be a high amounts of moisture here to deal with, as well as we take a look at our precipitable water measurement, which is basically just a measure of the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. We have lots and lots of water vapor, lots of deep extent of water vapor as well to deal with here. When you typically get into the mid to high twos, you're dealing with very high, very deep amounts of moisture here, which is going to translate itself eastward with time throughout the day and just park itself over this region here, which is just going to lead to some pretty significant rainfall rates and overall some very considerable saturated soil conditions, which will lead to excessive runoff from the heavy rainfall, which will also lead impromptu for some potentially life-threatening and even catastrophic flash flooding, which is possible in localized areas where saturated soil conditions are the most exasperated, as well as where excessive runoff is the most prevalent. Back to the overall rainfall totals, like I said, general baseline 5 to 7 inches, locally higher amounts possible. Now, there is going to be multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms today as we take a look at our composite reflectivity simulation from the latest long-range HRRR model. As of the recording of this video at 3:15, the 06Z HRRR is the latest 48-hour model, and we can take a look at it here in terms of how many rounds we're going to get. Convection is going to start to build its way in by around 6 to around 7 a.m. local time, and it is going to continue throughout all the day. Multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms are expected, some of which can be strong to severe, especially with the potential for some spin-up tornadoes within the remnants of Tropical Cyclone Arthur. The Storm Prediction Center has actually put out a slight risk level 2 out of 5. This is an upgrade from the previous risk of marginal. This is primarily driven by tornadoes, especially across this particular corridor right over here. I do think that this corridor is going to have to keep an eye out for some pretty elevated tornado activity. Basically, across the entire 5% tornado risk is where you're going to see the highest tornado risk, although I wouldn't be shocked to see an expansion of this 5% tornado risk a little bit more to the north to include pretty much all of our viewing area, as conditions are looking to be quite favorable across some model guidance that I've been seeing for some widespread weak tornadoes. Now, this is not a really significant tornado environment that we're seeing way up to the north today with the moderate risk. This is going to be completely more tamed down than that. Although, given the time of year, given the very high moisture, the high amounts of instability, especially in the low levels, as well as the wind shear that we're going to be seeing with this setup, especially from the influence of Tropical Cyclone Arthur and its remnants. I wouldn't be completely shocked to see a brief significant tornado tomorrow, although that's going to be entirely dependent on if we're able to get a storm that is able to tap in to these favorable conditions being modeled. So regardless, if you are within this area, keep a very close eye out on the weather tomorrow, as conditions are going to be favorable for tornadoes, as well as very significant to potentially catastrophic flash flooding. This severe weather risk is also driven by the potential for some damaging wind gusts, although on the more lower end, primary risk driving this slight risk is going to be respectively tornadoes, although there is going to be a lower end damaging wind gust risk as well, potentially 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts across this corridor. Now, with our current convection, you can see it right over here with the remnants of Arthur moving across Louisiana, portions of Mississippi. This is going to spread its way eastward with time into portions of southwest Alabama and the western Florida panhandle with time, and is going to increase in coverage and intensity as low-level wind fields become more stronger, as well as their instability continues to build up. Off topic from this, but you can also see what is left of our moderate risk across the Ohio River Valley, which has been responsible for producing some pretty intense to potentially even violent tornadoes across Illinois, as well as portions of Indiana today. And given the very extreme shear profiles up there, I mean, anything can really happen in very high shear events, which is what we saw. However, this line is going to push southeastward at time into portions of Kentucky and will gradually weaken on from there, but still cannot rule out potential for some few tornadoes, maybe even a strong tornado or two, as this line sags to the southeast, although this will likely be much weaker by the time you do see this video. And finally, before we get on to some safety tips, there is a flood watch, like I said, out for most of the region, including southern, central Mississippi, southern central Alabama, western Florida panhandle, as well as back into western and central Georgia, as well as much of Louisiana. Now, for our particular area, I want to highlight this as well and underline this. This is a particularly dangerous and life-threatening situation. This is a PDS flood watch, particularly dangerous situation, and this watch basically entails that excessive runoff will result in flooding of rivers, creeks, streams, and other low-lying flood-prone locations. Extensive street flooding and flooding of creeks and rivers is expected. Now go down to the additional details where it says right here, considerable flash flooding is likely and catastrophic flooding is possible. In areas where the highest rainfall totals are most prevalent, we could see some potential instances of catastrophic flash flooding, which is upwards of flash flood emergency criteria. And a flash flood emergency means that there is high confidence in the potential for catastrophic flash flooding to occur or is already ongoing. Now, this risk level is mainly associated with a significant number of flood-related deaths and most flash flood-related damages. So, like I said earlier, multiple rounds of heavy rainfall are expected. Additional rainfall amounts of 6 to 12 inches are expected, with locally in excess of 15 inches near the coast. So, pretty high wording here in terms of the very dangerous flooding potential, which is going to cause significant flash flooding, obviously, especially in those more urban and other poor drainage areas. Water rescues may become necessary. The biggest thing here to drive to home is stay weather aware and be ready to take action if flash flood warnings are issued. Now, here are some flash flood safety tips to basically close out here. This is actually from NWS Mobile. Flash flood safety: turn around, don't drown. Make sure that you know that rapid flowing streams or ditches can sweep you off your feet and your vehicle downstream. Remain alert if you live in flood-prone areas. Move to higher ground if flooding threatens, and use caution at night. Now, also make sure to stay far away and out of flooded areas. Water may still be rising and very swift. Do not allow children to play in or around flowing water. Floodwaters can hide rocks, trees, and debris. In the event that there is flooding in your area, make sure to obviously stay out of the way, as there could be some very dangerous objects within the water. Now, there is a difference between flash flood warning and flash flood emergency. Flash flood warning is issued when dangerous flash flooding is happening or will happen soon. Some roads will be flooded, homes and businesses may flood. Now, a flash flood emergency is issued only in the most exceedingly rare situations when a severe threat to human life and catastrophic damage from a flash flood is happening or will happen soon. This is a life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel unless if you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order. Make sure, turn around, don't drown, move to higher ground, and never drive through flooded roads. And finally, just a quick little note here. 6 inches of water will wash a person away. 2 feet of water will wash a car away. Do not attempt to cross a flowing stream on foot where water is above your ankles. That is very dangerous. And make sure to never drive around barricades. And once again, turn around. Do not drown. And that's basically all I got this morning. I'm going to provide more updates where applicable throughout the day, especially with our tornado risk setting up as well for the Gulf Coast, and obviously going to be striking home on this very dangerous flooding risk expected to set up for the Gulf Coast today. Thank you guys for watching this update video. I'll have more updates later today. This has been a flash flooding update from me, meteorologist Patrick Fitzgerald, for Thursday, June 18th, 2026. More updates to come about this risk and the associated tornado risk across the Gulf Coast later today. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more coverages. Thank you.